Mostly like the side-scrolling stuff, although like Legend of Zelda was really cool. Actually, Zelda 3 I really liked a lot too. A lot of the big hits from back then are ones I liked. Super Mario World, Super Metroid. I liked pretty much any of the 2D Castlevania games. Um, I played a lot of Contra and Bubble Bobble. Uh, those were those were co-op games that I feel like a lot of times these days they don't make a lot of games like that where you can just sit down with your buddy and play through them and be on the same side, working towards the same goals, which I think is a lot of fun and has maybe been neglected lately. Well, if you're looking at my game Nasty specifically, it's almost like a mashup of Bubble Bobble and Contra, where it's got the co-op gameplay, but then you've kind of taken elements from Contra, the shooting, everything like that, putting them into a Bubble Bobble style level. Um, but I'm trying to take an existing concept and make a really enjoyable experience for gamers. You've got to start with having a really solid and like an enjoyable core sort of experience. Like you got a platforming game, just kind of jumping and stomping on enemies and not falling in pits. That's a good core to your game. That's a fun thing on its own. And then you just kind of build interesting characters around it or interesting challenges within that. But it's having that strong core idea that the gamers want to play. And if you don't have that, it's really tough to make a good game. It doesn't really break a whole lot of new ground. It's taking Contra, which was a really fun game. I'm sure lots of people agree that, and it's putting it in sort of like a bubble wobble levels. There's a lot of action going along, a lot of shooting, jumping around. So there's platforming, there's shooting, there's weapons. Um, it's just all of that all together, and then especially if you can grab a buddy to play with you, it's a great time. I have a computer science degree, and I've been working in as a programmer for the last several years. I did all my programming in C++. Nasty is programmed with C Sharp and then the XNA framework from Microsoft. And my degree really helped a lot in that C++ is very similar to C Sharp. So I really had a lot of experience on the coding end of things. Um, it was just more getting into the artwork and getting into some of the game development stuff that was new. But the coding really helped me to get through this, get things put together very quickly. I do all the programming. I can't do music at all, so I contract that out. I do on Nasty. I contracted out more of the artwork. I did some of it myself, and then I hired out someone to do the other artwork. I do some of the sound effects, other sound effects I get from a website called soundsnap.com. I've got lists of everything, fairly detailed lists of everything that I need to do in my game, and I just kind of pick something I feel like whatever when I get time to work on something, whatever I feel like working on, I might pick a certain item, um, and I'll work on that depending on my mood. I might want to try to do a bunch of stuff on one day, so I'll pick a bunch of simple tasks, or if I'm feeling more motivated, I might pick one of the more difficult things off my list. But generally, it's keeping the detailed list, checking them off as I go, and once I get them all checked off, I'm done. I think it works for just a one man show, basically. Well, being a big fan of like the 8-bit, 16-bit graphics, I wanted to do something in that style, and not being an artist myself, um, it was possible that I could do some of the artwork myself. I can't do anything that's like super realistic or detailed. So I was able to do some of the pixel art and um, find somebody else. I spent some time actually browsing online different artist portfolios until I found one. I was like, man, that's really cool. That's something that I'm looking for. I talked to the guy. We worked things out. It's generally there were my initial designs for like the enemies, the blocks, the power ups, and things like that. And then he kind of worked off of those, basically in a pixel art style. But I think generally that's how my games have been so far, and that's probably the style I'm going to go with for the majority of them in the future. With Nasty, just it was like getting the collision detection and everything like that to work right. I kept running into little bugs where you'd get slightly inside of a block when you fell or if you turned around at the right place. Um, Nasty's a little bit different than a lot of games too. When you leave the screen on one side, you come out the other, and for a while I had issues where you'd program something where you're off by like half a pixel, and all of a sudden you'd get stuck in a block or you'd go shooting to the other side of the level and just all kinds of like weird stuff that was really hard to pinpoint and to get straight. Um, Thankfully, I did that code in Nasty and I largely got it worked out and my head wrapped around everything. So with my game sense, it hasn't been nearly as bad, but I definitely struggled getting everything perfect on that. Maybe the craziest thing is was even after release. With getting the pricing right, I didn't price it right initially, which I thought was reasonable, a price off the bat, and gamers weren't buying my game at all, and I ended up dropping the price about a fifth to about a fifth of what it originally was, and all of a sudden, all kinds of people started buying it. So I thought that was kind of crazy. I thought, you know, I was like, I've got a lot of levels, I've got a solid game, and people just, for whatever reason, weren't buying it at the higher price. But once I dropped it, all kinds of people started buying it, and generally the reviews have been good in my game. That's what was maybe really shocking, that you know people weren't willing to pay for it. Yeah, I'm working on what I call Hypership Out of Control. It's a 1 to 4 player co-op game for Xbox Live Indie Games. It's a top-down shooter. The basic idea is you've got a ship, you're flying through space, and your ship is keeps accelerating. You can't stop, so you got to be able to dodge asteroids and other space debris while continually going faster. The longer you live, the faster you go, so the harder it becomes. That's a little bit smaller game than Nasty was, or my other previous release. I'm hoping to finish that up in June, but maybe it'll slip till July.